I'm here to break down the real-world consequences of the border crisis is former DEA Special Operations Director Derek Maltz and National Border Patrol Council President Brandon Judd. Gentlemen, thanks so much for being with us tonight. Let's start there where William and Matt left off. I think the key here when we're talking about these 12 would-be terrorists, suspected terrorists, being apprehended at the border in record numbers, a dozen just now, we're finding out in the month of August, and Derek, I'll come to you first, is that you can read this in one of two ways. You can say, look, they were apprehended before they got into the country, so the system's working, or you can say that's probably just the tip of the iceberg.
Yes, exactly. So if you look at the ones that were apprehended, just think about how many have gotten through. I mean, Brandon's an expert at this, and he can speak a lot better than I can, but hundreds of thousands of gotaways that we know about. What's getting into the country? Who sent them? What are they here for? What's the motive? What are they going to do when they get here? These are high-value targets that are paying the cartels thousands of dollars to cross into America, and they don't want to be apprehended by the brave men and women of Border Patrol. So think about that. It's very serious.
How do you read that, Brandon?
Well, Gillian, if there weren't any solutions, that would be one thing that the White House can come back and say, look, there is no crisis. But the fact of the matter is there are simple solutions. And when we apprehend people that are on the known terrorist watch list, that is the scary aspect of border security. And just because we apprehended 12 last month, it doesn't mean that the other 50,000 that got away, that there weren't more on that watch list. And so if we don't get a handle on the current issue, if we don't look at the policies and programs and operations that will give us the opportunity to secure that border, then we're going to continue to see this. And the problem is we don't know what the effects are going to be down the road. We're not seeing it right now initially, and we never do. The terrorists always hold in waiting until a specific time. But we are going to see the effects of that, and it's going to play a huge part in the life of United States citizens, and that is the scary aspect of border security.
Derek, we know we got the August numbers, right? So we know that nearly 58,000 people were apprehended in the month. And then year on year, for the fiscal year, we've now surpassed 2 million people. This is interesting. Take a look at this from the New York Times today. They say the Biden administration has deployed over 1,300 law enforcement agents, to Mexico, Guatemala, and Honduras in an effort to counter the smuggling operations. One official speaking on background said officials believe this had stopped 57,000 immigrants a month from getting to the southwestern border. That is something, is it not?
Yeah, I mean, the numbers are staggering, but more importantly, from my standpoint, Gillian, is the amount of Americans that are dying every single day, every week, every month, and the families that are finding these young kids. I was out in California, last week, and the 15-year-old girl was dead in the bathroom. And then the week before that, a 14-year-old girl dead. The famous country singer Luke Bell, the autopsy report just came out that he died from fentanyl. We have a crisis that we've never seen. I was in Washington, D.C. with families from all over America this weekend rallying because they're desperately trying to get awareness because the White House is silent about the mass fentanyl poisonings all throughout America. It's just staggering, and it's really sad because the families are suffering and communities are being destroyed. But China, the greatest foreign policy for China by selling fentanyl.
Yeah.
And working with the cartels who are making billions of dollars. And by the way, the Chinese are doing all the money laundering now. They're picking up millions of dollars and buying real property, and they're buying real estate in America with drug dollars.
Brandon, just so our viewers at home know what they're looking at here, this is what law enforcement agents refer to as rainbow fentanyl. You can see there it looks kind of like M&Ms or Skittles. It's designed to appeal to young people, particularly children. It's surging. The use of it is surging here in the U.S. Brandon, I know that your colleagues are finding it, not just stuffed inside packages getting smuggled here. I mean, it's getting laced into all kinds of prescription and non-prescription off-label drugs. It's terrible.
Absolutely. And how monstrous is that these cartels are willing to advertise to children, that they're willing to go after the children of the United States. And what's even more frustrating about it is that this administration understands that this is going on, and they're just not doing anything about it. They can tell us that they estimated that they stopped 57,000 migrants from coming into the United States, but there's just nothing that you can believe from this White House. When you have a press secretary that says that people aren't walking across the border, there's just no way that we can know what we can believe. And when you look at this fentanyl, when you look at this crisis, this drug crisis that currently exists, and knowing that this administration just isn't doing anything about it, we have to take a step back and say, why? Why aren't they doing anything? What is the root cause? Why aren't they actually stepping to the plate and giving us the operations, programs, and policies? Again, I'm going to go back to, they know that there are simple solutions to this. They're just not giving us those solutions, so we're going to continue to see U.S. citizens pay the price for their ineptitude.
Derek and Brandon, we got to leave it there. Thanks so much for staying up with us. We appreciate it.